Test, 1, 2. Test, 1, 2. Honestly,
Oh, that's okay.
I didn't.
I just want to make sure you saw it.
That's what it looked like when I opened here.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like when I here. It was all gray.
We'll call to order the city council meeting for Monday. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Amanda.
Mark Bittner,
Here.
Shannon Derby, Bill Leclerc, Doug Brandt,
Here.
Tim Petrie, Bonnie Shamulis, Scott Steckmesser,
Here.
Adam Mahusky,
Here.
Darla Leclerc, all present.
Thank you all for that. We can skip over number 4 because everyone is here this evening, and then we'll go on to number 5, invited guests. The first one under A is introduction and swearing in of Valerie Vanderlinden, Administrative Assistant to City Manager, Deputy City Clerk.
Yes, council at the meeting on October 7, Amanda gave some background on Valerie's hiring into this position. She's taking the place of Lisa Keene, who retires on November 8th. Lisa's sticking around through the general election week, but all done as of Friday of that week. We're grateful to have Valerie on board. She comes to us with a very strong background in the insurance industry in both Two Rivers and Manitowoc, and most recently working with the city of Manitowoc in their clerk and treasurer's office. So we've been fortunate. There's been about a 3.5 week, 4 week overlap between Lisa wrapping things up and Val starting work in the office, which is great. I know Amanda's appreciative of the help as we're in the home stretch up to this big election. And Amanda will handle the swearing in. We also welcome Val's family joining us here in the front row tonight. So we've got a large and pretty friendly crowd by the looks. So over to you, Amanda, for the swearing in, and Valerie.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Valerie Vanderlinden,
Solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Wisconsin,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of Deputy City Clerk
of Deputy City Clerk
for the City of Two Rivers
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep, watch the cords. We lose more.
Congratulations.
Nice to see.
So Amanda, nobody's any gladder.
Okay, next up, would like to call our fire chief, Dave Murrock, forward. This is for the badge pinning for Alex Stoudinger upon successful completion of probation. The two new hire firefighter paramedics that are listed, Hunter Decker and Nathan Sikora, as I understand, will be appearing at a future meeting. Chief can speak to that.
Evening. I'm pleased to announce that Alex Downinger has completed his probation at the City of Two Rivers. And as far as how his probation worked is he had a year-long process in which he completed written and practical tests to assure that he would meet the expectations of the citizens of Two Rivers Fire Department, as well as the fire department itself. He passed with flying colors. He's what we'd like to see in the City of Two Rivers. He's a Two Rivers native, graduated from City of Two Rivers High School. Upon graduating City of Two Rivers High School, he entered the United States Marine Corps, served proudly in the Marine Corps. Upon being honorably discharged, he went through fire school, interned at the City of Two Rivers Fire Department, eventually became a part-time employee, and then was hired full-time. He's an incredibly dedicated, hardworking individual, and really exceeds our expectations at the City of Two Rivers Fire Department. He's currently assigned to C shift on the fire department, and we're very happy to have him, and it's a great success story for someone that's local to work for the fire department. We're very happy to have him for the next 20 to 30 years there, so you're stuck with us. So with that being said, tonight he's joined by his girlfriend, Sarah, who will be doing the pinning, his mother, Mary, his brother, Brandon, his Aunt Nancy, and Uncle Ron. So without further ado. So with that being said, we're going to have Sarah do the pinning. Congratulations. Like I said, the crowd is friendly and generally they have other things to do.
Thank you to the family too for raising such a fine individual from Two Rivers. Thank you very much.
You weren't too rowdy of a group.
Okay, moving on, we are going to move to input from the public. If you wish to address the city council about something that is on the agenda or something you'd like on the future agenda, please step up to the podium on your left, state your name and address for the record. Input from the public. Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to number 7, council communications, letters and other communications from citizens. Yes, Mark.
I've received a couple. And first is regarding the previous meeting and the public comments regarding our treasure jewel, the beach and the park. It's my understanding another group member, one of my council members, from going to give an update committee report, but we did listen, and we do listen to public input, but immediately following public input is not the time for us to answer those input questions or concerns. The other thing I want to mention is I received comments from local citizens about their concern for St. Mary's, the old Catholic school. What's happening? I did contact Lakeshore Cap, and I found that the school is no longer owned by Lakeshore Cap. It's since been sold. Mr. Buckley's been working on it too. I guess there's now 2 owners that own that site, and they're even considering possibly selling some of the property. What I'd like to do is, Greg, I'd like to suggest that we invite the 2 owners currently and have them give us a report to the community about what's happening to their plans for St. Mary's School, and see if there's anything we can do strategically to work with them to make it a better looking location in our community.
Where's St. Mary's?
The old school that
St. Mark's.
St. Mark's. Sorry, St. Mark's. And then the other thing I want to report that the Room Tax Commission did meet. We're working on the promotional plans that Joe has. We're also working on marketing these promotional plans, and we're working with Explore Two Rivers to better solidify our relationship with the organization. Lastly, I want to remind everybody, voting, election day is coming shortly, and the trust cars from the community center are available to shuttle any citizens that don't have a ride to their respective voting place. All you need to do is call Senior Center ahead of time for reservation to get the pickup that works for yourself. But please vote, everyone in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Yes, Adam.
I did receive a communication wondering about the apartments that we were talking about for a while at 3 different sites. They didn't fall through due to anything that the city did. Some of them are being worked on currently. 2 of them are being worked on. One has some DNR issues, and the other one is pretty close, and the other one kind of fell through based on, it sounds like, investors and interest rates and such like that. So some of them are still in the works, and some of them are just taking a little bit longer than we had hoped. That's all I had.
Thank you. Yes, Bonnie.
I did get one question about the Paragon property. Well, they're just wondering why the parking lot looks like it does. Even I wonder that when I go by there.
I know there has been communication that's gone up from the zoning office about the amount of outdoor storage of materials there and the need to get that addressed, because there's not, if that's what you're speaking to, there's a lot of stuff in the parking lot. And some of it has been related to the Frontier fiber installation that's supposed to be out of there, getting out of there, but there's still a lot of material. We'll follow up on that.
They're still working on it, you mean?
Well, that contractor is, but I'm not sure everything we see stored outside there relates to that project. There's like what look like
There's
big
like
tracking
railroad ties
pads
and stuff
or-
like that there
yeah.
too, yeah.
Then I have a second one about, I went and looked at the Neshota Park with a couple neighbors. I have a question. They do understand that you can't, how grant money is so sensitive. In other words, if you don't do what you said you were gonna do, you might have to give some back. But they felt, even I'm curious about this, why did you put it through the middle of the block as opposed to maybe along 19th Street, which is like a straight, just a straight way of going?
Our advisory rec board members or our Parks and Rec director, Mike, could speak to that. I know that was addressed thoroughly in the planning meetings, which were considerable.
The kind of idea behind the whole Neshota Park master plan is dividing the park into like rooms, bedrooms. So coming in straight along there allows people access to go either to the playground area, allows them to go straight ahead to the restrooms or concession stand, or allows them to head over to the beach via parking lot 1. If you ran it all the way down just to parking lot 1 along 19th Street, then anyone that want to go use the rest of the park would essentially be going, I think, south to go back north again. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then they would have to face traffic as well.
The other question I had, because I was thinking about this on my own, there's a lot of pathways being suggested, all right? And what does that do to the utility? I don't know what to call it, tax on impervious surfaces. Who pays for that?
Stormwater. Suppose those would add marginally to the calculation for that, because the city pays that fee, just like any private citizen or business does.
We have to keep paying extra money for every year?
I'll let Matt speak to that.
Okay.
If, as part of the project, we did not plan on doing any type of stormwater management features, then the city would be looking at some sort of, if you want to call it tax, or because of the additional impervious area we're adding. But part of the project is to potentially add some swales that'll basically treat the stormwater runoff from these additional impervious areas. So it should be a net zero.
Oh, you mean it would be evened out?
Because it's new development, new additional impervious or hard surface.
Mhm.
We're looking at adding some stormwater features. Right now, we're in the conceptual stage. We haven't gotten into a lot of the design. So we're hoping that it'll end up being a net zero, so to speak, end result. So
Does the effect of taking the tennis court help at all? Because that's an impervious space that will be going away.
it does, but I thought down the road, part of that was potentially going to be some sort of bocce ball or something. So we have to take a look at the whole plan, but right now we're just looking at the trails and then the parking and doing Pierce Street. So we're looking at those benefits right now, but yeah, we'll take a look at the whole thing.
You know,
For adding. Right now, the runoff just basically runs off. We're looking at, again, adding some sort of swale, native vegetation, which will then promote the infiltration and cleaning up of the runoff from other areas of the park. Again, right now we're at the conceptual stage. I can't speak to, yes, it's going to be 100% taken care of or nothing taken care of. We're hoping we're going to be a little closer to the 100% range, but I can't guarantee that right now.
Anything else? Council communications.
I just wanted to, maybe one of the council members is on advisory rec board would know, but I understand the two citizens anyway that were here and spoke to that aspect of the master plan and the grant funding that's been lined up, did have the opportunity for further dialogue with the advisory recreation board on the very next night, Tuesday the 8th, and the ARB, which devoted a lot of time to soliciting and hearing public input on that master plan. Wasn't a motion, but the consensus was that the issue did not need to be on a future agenda nor referred back to city council. And that's not out of any lack of respect, but feeling that there was adequate opportunity for that to be aired, that input.
That is correct.
Okay, moving on to number 8, council reports from boards, commissions, and committees. Yes, Adam.
Advisory Rec Board, speaking of that, we did have a meeting 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. We talked about food trucks at the beach, and we are looking into a permit process for this, so that'll be coming back at a future meeting. We also talked about the jet ski launch at the beach, which we look to keeping that and making it more known, maybe adding some signage and possibly even a some sort of, not impervious, but a removable spot where they can get their jet skis and actually drive them down to the beach area to get launched. We also talked about Picnic Hill and the disc golf course, which is being updated currently with some enhancements thanks to some donations. Paddlers Park's going to get some support and some new scoreboards up at Vietnam Park. Also continuing on Riverside, and we did hear about the Neshotah master plan from a couple citizens. And like Greg alluded to, the board was satisfied with the amount of time and effort we put into that and feel like we still have a good plan to move forward with.
Thank you, Adam. Anyone else? Yes, Darla.
EAB has pretty much stayed the same, and we will be talking about the front yard gardens tonight. But for Main Street, a couple things. Dice Goblin Hobbies has moved into their new location. Inky Blues Community Arts Center has just opened. Starbucks will be opening soon. You all know about what's happening over at Sobeys. And of course, the Violet Inn. I know Mr. Buckley's, that's in his court right now. And also Spices Indian Restaurant. We have a lot going on downtown, and I just hope people realize just all the strides we've already made and everything that's going on here and some possible future projects. So we should be very proud.
Okay, thank you, Darla. Anyone else? Yes, buddy.
At the finance committee meeting, the library presented their budget. It was a short meeting, I guess. And very small increase, which was fine. And we are looking at proposals yet. We haven't made a decision, so that's it.
Bonnie?
Oh, I mean, for a city manager. I suppose I should say a proposal for what, huh?
It's for a city manager's search and a recruitment firm, yeah. And I think the committee did by consensus narrow it down to 2 firms that will
Well,
be
that's true.
invited for interviews, for Zoom meetings or Teams meetings, whatever
Yep.
we choose on that. So there's some progress being made there. And it's on the agenda, but the Personnel and Finance Committee meets again 6 p.m. on Thursday night of this week in this room. Meetings are open to the public. We'll be doing an overview of the general fund budget and drilling a little deeper on some of our special revenue funds.
Always a fun time. Anyone else?
I was on the library board and we talked about all the financial reports and went through everything, and then talked about all the wonderful programs for adults and children. And there is a teen night this Friday from 7 to 9 at Woodland Dunes in conjunction with the library. So get out there, teens.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, then on to number 9, City Manager's Report.
Okay, we'll start here, but we start out with some beautiful imagery from both along the lake. A lot of people have been looking to the night skies lately between northern lights and comets, some of the great views. Amanda Berenbrook, our city clerk, after that photo at Point Beach State Forest. And then one of the rivers, Jeff, help me out with that. Adler's Park area, the view upriver as summer weather just keeps stretching right on through October. We are still in recruitment mode for a couple of positions. I believe we're down to 1 police department full-time patrol vacancy, and the department is offering the opportunity, as is allowed under the contract and as council is allowed in the budget, for lateral entry for folks that have experience in police work, including eligible jail or corrections officers who could attend police academy for certification. And we also do offer a sign-on bonus for experienced law enforcement or jail personnel who apply. So Chief Meinert and his staff continuing in a strong recruitment mode there. We do continue in recruitment for community development director, city planner. That position has not been filled to date, much to my chagrin. We're keeping busy on that front, as Darla referenced. In-person absentee voting starts tomorrow here at City Hall, 7:30 to 5 p.m., Tuesday through Friday. Then Saturday, the 26th, from 9 a.m. to noon. And then the week of August 28th, Monday through Friday, again, 7:30 to 5. And Amanda, that wraps up Friday, November 1st? Yes. So our clerk, deputy clerk, and election workers can all get ready for the big day on November 5. So tomorrow is the day that in-person absentee voting begins here.
Luckily on Friday, then they will stay open till 5 with the change in hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, to
Keep it open. That's
accommodate
good. Thank you.
absentee voters. Yep. Our big infrastructure project, of course, this year has been Roosevelt Avenue. That is in its final stages. The contractor is working on terrace restoration with sod due to the dry growing conditions. Sod deliveries are coming to the project site on a daily basis. They're installing sod as it arrives. The contractor is responsible for the first 2 full initial waterings. They're out there on Sunday watering the sod. We want to stay on top of that because there's no point doing sodding for a better finished product with weather like this unless you keep it plenty wet. Contractors doing final project cleanup. A lot of the barricades have disappeared. However, the project is still signed for local traffic only. There are still some barricades up. The hope is to wrap it all up by the end of October. There certainly will be no impediments to access to the Abundant Life Church polling location from the Roosevelt side, in case anybody has any concerns there. Been talking about this for a while. Hopefully we'll see some dirt start to fly this week. We are still waiting on plat approval for the Phase 3 plat for Sandy Bay Highlands. The state referred it to the county for their review. The county has approved the plan. The state's supposed to turn these around in 30 days. We're a little beyond 30 days right now, so we expect that approval any day. Immediately following receipt of the approved plat, we will be filing it with the Register of Deeds. We'll officially have a subdivision of record then, and I'll come to the council at the very next opportunity. I'm hoping next Monday for the work session with a proposed deed to the CDA. By the way, is Sean, our city attorney, on the line? Okay, very good. Sean, I'll be making that request of you shortly. Yeah, that was not on our list for our weekly meeting today. Pre-construction meeting was held last week with the general contractor, Advanced Construction, and they indicate that construction activities will begin this week. So we're eager to see the infrastructure and the graded gravelled streets in for 26 more lots over there. This qualifies as old news, so I'm hoping in 2 weeks I'll be able to show you some in progress photos. Leaf pickup has commenced and continues through the end of November. The last 2 years have been dealing with a lot more zones, and help me out, Matt, there should be updates on the status of leaf pickup getting posted daily.
Once the leaves start coming down.
Once there's enough leaf pickup to slow the crews down, they're pretty much scampering all over town right now, sucking up what's out there.
They start in the lower.
Okay, so as Matt noted, they start each week typically on the east side and then circulate through the city. We'll be getting those communications up regularly. There's a lot of leaves still just hanging up there. Local economic development activity, again, most of this you know about, but would just note that work's underway with Sovi's Autos expansion project. That's about $1 million project now underway. That is being assisted with TID number 12 developer grant that was approved by council at your last regular meeting. The Violet Inn project on 16th Street at the former Elks Club building is proceeding. That's an historic downtown building that really had fallen into a blighted state, and we appreciate the work that the developers are proposing there. That's on the order of a $2 million project. Assistance is proposed in the form of a TID 12 developer grant. I'll be asking that you table that tonight. We just got the development agreement last Friday to the developers. In fact, Melissa Nison's here in the audience tonight. Melissa will be available to address council next Monday, we expect, at the work session, assuming you table the agreement to that session. But 6-room boutique inn with spa services, also bar and food service, some pretty exciting plans bringing life into that old building in the midst of downtown. Starbucks, Darla mentioned the Starbucks on Washington Street, not the beneficiary of any city funding assistance, but that's okay. Major investment being made, and they anticipate opening by mid-November. I think we'll be seeing some other good things happening that will first appear for public review on the November and December Plan Commission agendas. The former Hanson, the Florist Greenhouse property on Forest Avenue has sold. Developer has a proposal there for market rate apartments. We've seen proposals there before that didn't happen. This one, which would still involve city development assistance through the tax incremental district that was established to assist redevelopment of that site, would be involved. So watch for more details coming to council in November, probably Plan Commission at their December regular meeting. And there's also some more activity cooking in the downtown area based on some recent communications. Good things happening. Main Street reminds you of the Fall Wine and Beer Walk this Friday downtown from 5 to 8:30 p.m. Tickets are available downtown at Seeds and Beans, the Main Street office, or at tworiversmainstreet.com, Main Street's website. Tickets are $35 each, and you get a free a free wine glass or beer glass for the beverage of your choice, and then can visit various businesses throughout the downtown on Friday. Downtown trick-or-treating is this coming Saturday, October 26th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Listed there are all of the businesses that have indicated they are participating. And I think we had close to 1,000 people downtown last year for downtown trick or treat, both children and parents. So get out and enjoy it. The weather still looks pretty good, a little more fall-like, but pretty good for next weekend. Regular trick or treat around the community is on Halloween, Thursday, October 31st, and the recommended hours traditionally are 4:30 to 7 p.m. And we encourage people that are participating and have something to hand out to little goblins and ghosts, put your front porch light on. Two Rivers Utilities Annual Food Drive, November 4th to the 15th. If you donate 3 non-perishable food items, you receive either free Christmas lights, floodlight, or a light bulb. And 3 of the participating electric customers will be randomly selected to win a prize. Bottom line, it's for the good of the community. And those food donations, Ryan, ultimately go to TREP, Two Rivers Ecumenical Pantry, which does a whole lot of good in the community. Both in this event, I'd encourage people, and if you have year-end giving traditions, keep TREP in mind. They quietly do a lot of good work in the community.
What's the drop-off location again?
Yes, those can be dropped either at City Hall in the lobby here outside of customer service, and also at the electric department down at 1415 Lake Street near McDonald's. Look for the signage, including the digital message sign. You can drop it off at either location. And hours are posted out there. Thank you, Mark. Last item under the heading of legislative intergovernmental update. This slide is a bit wordy, but basically on October 8th, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency did announce the long-anticipated so-called improved lead and copper rule that's aimed at taking a giant step forward in reducing and eliminating public exposure to lead and in drinking water. There are various aspects to the new rule. They include improving methods of sampling, in certain cases requiring local utilities with repeated exceedances of lead guidelines to provide customers with filters. Most significantly, the new rule sets a deadline for eliminating all lead service lines in utilities throughout the country within 10 years. And make no question about it, that's a big job. That mandate will require an enormous investment by water utilities around the country, well above and beyond the $15 billion that the bipartisan infrastructure law provided. Here in Two Rivers, as an older community, we came into this year with about 1,850 lead water services. That in some cases is just the private portion from the shutoff valve or the right-of-way into the house. In some cases, it's just what's under the pavement on the public street. Some cases it's both, but we had a total coming into this year of about 1,850 lead services. As you know, the city's been aggressively tackling this. We've used most of our American Rescue Plan Act dollars. Also, the County of Manitowoc's been good enough to share ARPA dollars to match the city's expenditures for lead service laterals. So if you look at the diagram or the little chart to the right there, it tracks our history on removing lead laterals, both at scattered locations and in tandem with street projects. 2024 to date was primarily the Roosevelt Avenue reconstruction that accounted for 54, and then 5 apparently where we've had service breaks or failures around the city. Council did earlier this year approve a contract for 300 lead service lateral replacements, and that work in the north central part of town has commenced. And then we've applied for some DNR loan and hopefully principal forgiveness funding assistance for another 160 scattered sites, primarily on the city's east side for next year. We'll wait and see how the funding applications make out. And we also, in the capital plan for next year, are proposing 3 blocks of street be reconstructed on the city's east side. And that will account for about, is that right, Matt? About 20 laterals for that 3-block area, 20 lead laterals. So either completed or now under contract, reduction of about 1,225 lead service laterals, but that still means that there will be about 1,300 left at the end of 2025. So we'll have taken out about half, but there's still the need for say 130 to 150 LSL replacements each year for the next 10 years to get the job done. So it's a huge commitment, and we're going to have to continue to lobby our state and federal legislators to assist with it. It's a national priority. We need some help meeting that, so it's not all borne on the shoulders of our ratepayers and taxpayers.
Buckley, you said lead and copper. I'm well aware of the lead. What's copper dynamics?
I'll invite Andrew up on that. There are provisions regulating copper. They don't have a great deal of relevance to our system. And by the way, lead includes both lead and galvanized services. We're getting galvanized out of the system too.
So copper keeps coming into play when we talk about services in general, because the way that the EPA mandates our testing, lead and copper are rolled into the same bracket. So we do testing for both, but we won't be doing any service work for copper. It's just the lead side that's getting affected. But
There's no requirements in to replace a copper.
Nope.
Okay.
But when we talk about the actual mandates, the services are all lumped together. So you always hear this lead and copper come up. That's just how the EPA has classified it.
Andrew, are there some communities where the nature of their water, whether it's ground or surface, is such that there are concerns about corrosion with copper?
Yes, there's a couple that I know of, groundwater, that they have had some issues. Through certain treatment processes, most of them have been able to do something to help eliminate that. I don't know of any communities that have had it bad enough where they're taking copper out and replacing it with a type of plastic.
Well, it's a lead and copper rule, but it's primarily about lead, and certainly as it relates to our utility. So this is the guy leading the city's charge for regulatory compliance and turning over every rock to find funding to get this done. In fact, we have some on tonight's agenda. Thank you, Andrew. And that is nothing else under legislative intergovernmental. They're all running for office, so they're not out there changing the laws and the rules of the game right now. And another nice photo, courtesy of Jeff Dawson, our Leicester Library Director, this of Woodland Dunes Nature Center and Preserve.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. On to a consent agenda. Under A, we have presentation of minutes from the City Council regular meeting of October 7th, 2024. The recommended action will be a motion to waive reading, adopt the minutes. Under minutes of meetings, we have 9. We have Leicester Public Library for September 10th, Public Utilities Committee, October 7th, Public Works Committee from October 2nd, Plan Commission, October 14th, Advisory Recreation Board from October 9th, Board of Review, September 18th, Police and Fire Commission from September 18th and October 2nd, Room Tax Commission, October 9th, and Environmental Advisory Board from September 17th and October 15th. The recommended action will be a motion to receive and file. Under C, we have department reports for September 2024. There's 11 of them. City Clerk, Electric, Fire, Inspections, Library, Parks and Recreation, Police, Public Works, Safety, Tourism, and Water. The recommended action will be a motion to receive and file. Under D, we have applications and petitions. We have 2 of those. The first one is application for temporary Class B wine license for Friends of the Two Rivers Senior Center for Cork and Canvas event, October 24th, 2024 at 6:00 p.m. to 8:00 p.m. for the Two Rivers Senior Center. And then we have another one for application for temporary Class B license for Two Rivers Main Street for the Fall Wine and Beer Walk, October 25th, 2024, from 5:00 p.m. to 9:00 p.m. in downtown Two Rivers. The recommended action will be a motion to approve the applications and authorize issuance of the licenses. Under E, we have financial reports for July 2024. There are 4. We have debt services, general fund, Leicester Library, and utilities report. The recommended action will be a motion to receive and file. And then under F, we have summary of verified bills for the month of September 2024 for $2,389,226.67. The recommended action will be a motion to receive and file. The recommended action for the entire consent agenda will be a motion to approve the consent agenda with the various actions recommended. Looking for that motion. Thank you, Darla. Second by Doug. Thank you. Any council discussion?
I have a question. I think, Adam, in the advisory rec board meeting, did you respond then to, did you respond to the detail? And person could look.
Anything else? Seeing none, this will be an all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all. On to 11, city council formal items. Under A, we have a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of up to $1,932,727 in sewage system revenue bonds, Series 2024, and providing for other details and covenants with respect thereto. Greg, or?
Actually,
Right.
Matt's coming up to speak to part of this as well. We have two loans on the agenda tonight that are through the state's environmental loan program, which is jointly administered by DNR and the Department of Administration. These are typically low interest rate loans. There's some federal money that comes into the state and helps subsidize these interest rates and also fund in some instances principal forgiveness, which the state doesn't like you calling a grant, but when you get principal forgiveness, it means a certain amount of the money provided for it does not have to be repaid. It's principal forgiveness, which is kind of neat. The first one is for sewer system revenue bonds, as noted. Does not have a GO or full faith and credit pledge of the city, but has revenue from the sewer utility pledged, and state has determined we meet the necessary coverage ratios as far as being able to meet the debt service requirements. It is for a 20-year borrowing at 2.2% annual interest. And because I might not get it straight, and Matt's got the big spreadsheet for these, this is financing projects, many of which have been completed, but they consist of what, Matt?
The two major projects that this 1.9+ million is for is the now almost completed Roosevelt Avenue and the current north scattered lateral project where we're replacing the sanitary laterals under the roadway.
So that is that one. There was no principal forgiveness on this particular loan. Council is asked to approve the resolution that's in your packet, which also gives the city manager and city clerk permission to execute closing documents and to sign the financial assistance agreement with the state.
Okay. Looking for that motion then. Thank you, Darla. Second by. Thank you, Bonnie. Any council discussion? Yes, Adam.
Are these the loans where we're charging the customer the percentage that we're getting at a cheaper percentage?
No, actually, that is the next one, which
Next
is
one.
for lead service lateral replacement.
Okay,
That's where I know there was some disagreement on the council whether the city
right.
should charge the prevailing rate or a higher rate. Yep, that'd be the next one up.
Mark, did you have some?
I was just going to say, for the benefit of the community, these have all been previously discussed, reviewed, and this is merely a formality of open meeting.
These
requirements.
funding sources were identified when the council awarded contracts for these projects. Yes, it was in Matt's summary that came to council.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote. Amanda?
Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimulis,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Mark Bittner, Shannon Derby,
Aye.
all in favor.
On to B, resolution authorizing issuance and sale of up to $1,304,058 of taxable general obligation water system promissory notes, Series 2024, and providing for other details and covenants with respect thereto.
First of all, on this one, what was included in your agenda packets was an error. You have a nice cover letter from Quarles and Brady, and which conveyed the closing documents for this borrowing, the closing certificate and other materials. The sample of the notes. However, I provided you tonight the handout that looks real similar. It's got a cover letter from bond counsel at Quarles and Brady on the top of it. That is the resolution that council is asked to act upon. That again authorizes the city manager and city clerk to sign the closing documents for the city and execute the financial assistance agreement from the state. This one provides for a total of $1,435,838 in funding. This one does have $131,780 in principal forgiveness, which gets you down to that net borrowing of $1,304,058. These are, first of all, taxable because a good portion of this borrowing will be for the private side laterals, and that's deemed, it's on private property, so it's deemed to be a private benefit and a taxable issue, if you will. It is also, these are also general obligation borrowings of the city because I'll slice and dice it here. Our intent is that the portion of the lateral on private property be repaid by the homeowner, but over time. So the city, no, I'm sorry, the city's paying what on other projects has been a grant or $2,500 for property owner out of property taxes because this needed to be a taxable GO issue. A portion of this borrowing also covers the public side lateral within the street right-of-way, and that also is taxable GO, but could be repaid. Our intent is to repay by the water utility because that's our policy. The water utility pays up to the edge of right-of-way. Usually you see a much higher rate when the city goes out and borrows on a taxable issue, but there is a hefty federal subsidy that's built into this program. So that net borrowing of $1,304,058 is for 20 years at 0.25%. Yes, 1/4% for this borrowing. So this one for the laterals that Matt will tell you about is general obligation, a taxable issue, but at the end of the day, it's got a bit of principal forgiveness, not quite 10%, but a little over, pretty close to 10% principal forgiveness, and it's at 1/4% over 20 years. And what it's paying for is?
It is primarily the scattered lateral contract for this year up on the near north side, and then also the private side lead services that were completed on Lincoln Street last year.
The private sides on Roosevelt are being paid with ARPA dollars, the first $2,500 anyway. Again, the city's intent with all of these has been, albeit from different funding sources, to try to maintain that $2,500 per property owner grant or subsidy or offset, whatever you want to call it, where the city or other public funding is picking up $2,500 per household.
ARPA funds are also being utilized on the public side for Roosevelt, and the remaining balance of ARPA funds are being used on the same scattered lateral in the near north side. So the balance of the public side is being funded through this loan, as well as the private side $2,500 grant, if you want to call it that.
Any questions for Matt?
And,
Hang on, Adam was first.
Is there a percentage in here that it says what we're gonna charge the citizens?
Not in these closing documents, no.
No, that's gonna come at a later time?
Not so sure, but that's been addressed already by the council. Although I do know there was a point, because Adam raised the question, where we said that vote will come at a later time. And I'm not recalling if that came back for a council vote or not. That's the policy on what.
Policy was set, but I don't know that we came back with a percentage. Maybe I'm wrong.
Don't have recollection of it off the top of my head, one way or the other.
And that was basically the loan would have to be where the cost of the private side lateral is over 2,500, right? Because the
Yes.
city's repaying the debt on the others. And that's very few, but there probably are some out there.
I am not aware of any to date yet that are over the $2,500. And I think, we have like 20 of them in the ground.
Can you just double check that then to make sure, please? Mark?
I read the attachment we had with the packet, and it's long, tedious, not real interesting reading, but that is the closing certificate. This is simply the requirement to be part of Public Works, the second document we just received.
That's the authorizing resolution that the council is actually acting to approve tonight. Yep. Sorry, we just caught that coming into the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Matt? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion and then we can have council discussion.
It's not so much for Matt, but what is the difference between this new one? What happened that you put out a new one compared to the one that?
We got 2 documents from bond counsel on each of these agenda items tonight. A packet with the resolution authorizing the borrowing and a letter that conveyed the closing documents that will be signed, which is part of what the resolution authorizes. We don't typically distribute, unless council asks for it, the closing documents. They're referenced in the resolution. So you should have gotten the one that was handed out, because that is, once you get past the 2 pages of cover letter, it's literally the resolution authorizing issuance of the notes in this, promissory notes. So that's, your agenda is for a vote on a resolution. That's the resolution. The resolution that will result, if you approve it, in signing closing documents. The closing docs are what got sent out with the packets in error. Yep.
For a motion. Thank you, Bill. Second by Mark.
Second.
Any council discussion? And we make sure the link on the packet gets updated then to the
That
correct
will be
document?
corrected as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in case someone wants to look
Yeah.
at it.
Amanda and Val, you made a note of that. Thank you.
Nothing else? Then this will be a roll call vote. Amanda?
Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc, Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Shannon Derby,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc, all in favor.
Thank you all for that. On to C. TID 12 Development Agreement for Violet Inn Lounge and Spa, 1415 16th Street.
We had a violent in once, but we got rid of it.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. As mentioned, and as council has in their packets, this is a very exciting redevelopment reuse proposal for 1415 16th Street, the former Two Rivers Elks Club, and it's had a few lives after that. Ms. Nyson and her sister are investors proposing to create Violet Inn. Council received, and as an exhibit to the development agreement, we will include the contractor cost estimate, which on the building alone is in excess of $1.5 million. There's also furnishings and equipment, exterior building treatments and landscaping to go into this. So in round numbers, it's approaching a $2 million project, primarily privately funded, but TID 12, which was first created to assist with the Cobblestone Hotel development, project plan for that TIF was amended by action of this council and the TIF Joint Review Board in May of this year. It added the opportunity for developer grants to both the Sovies project and the Violet Inn project. Like the Sovies grant, this is proposed to be a pay-as-you-go grant, dependent for its funding on the additional property taxes generated from the project property. And at the end of the TIF, about 20 years out, if perchance the TIF has fallen short of generating an amount equal to $130,000, it would be considered paid in full. There is not an interest rate assigned to that obligation that would be created for the city to make payments out of the revenue stream for TID 12. Not in front of the council tonight, but this project has been previously approved by the Business Industrial Development Committee for a $200,000 loan. And there also is an application that dates back to when Ms. Runge was here as our Community Development Director for facade grant funding. I anticipate bringing that to council as well. And I understand Ms. Nyson is looking at some final quotes on the elements of the exterior improvements to the building. So that would, frankly, would either be addressed as part of next year's 2025 budget because our facade grants are reimbursed immediately, whether that's from the city's, the 290 Economic Development Fund, or whether we can see fit to do it from available cash in TID number 12 is something I'd like to revisit with the council as we look at next year's budget. But the sum total of TIF assistance and facade grant and a loan, which gets repaid, is pretty minor in the scheme of this very impactful project. So with that as background, I think it's good the community knows about this and knows about the investment interest that's being generated in our downtown. I would recommend at the request of the developer and with my concurrence, tabling this out 1 week to the work session next Monday.
So do you want a formal
I think that would be
action
appropriate.
to
Yeah.
table it? Okay.
If you table it to that
Formal
meeting, if
Motion to table till next week's work discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Do we have a second? Thank you, Bill. Any council discussion?
Non-debatable.
correct.
That's true. Good point. But that was council discussion. So thank you, Adam. We will do a roll call vote.
Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister.
Aye.
Adam Mahusky.
Aye.
Darla Leclerc. Mark Bittner. Shannon Derby.
Aye.
Bill Leclerc.
Aye.
Doug Brandt.
Aye.
All in favor.
Thank you all for that. Moving on to D, resolution for Wisconsin DNR recreational boating grant application.
Okay, Mike Mathis, our Parks and Recreation Director, is asking for council authorization in the form of this resolution. Mike, you want to come forward and speak to the project or projects you have planned?
Hey, everyone, this resolution would give us permission from City Council to apply for a recreational boating grant through Wisconsin DNR. So we've been working on Paddlers Park. We recently had a site plan done for that and trying to get the boat launch redone, get some more ADA accessible features into that park. We are planning for including a little bit of funds in our capital budget for next year to use as match for this, but this is, again, as usual, this doesn't commit us to anything. This just gives me permission to go ahead and submit the grant application with City Council's permission. So yeah, it would the grant we're looking at would replace the gravel launch at Paddlers Park with a concrete launch, add an accessible sidewalk there as well, some signage, and some features for fishing areas at the park as well.
I'm sure advisory rec board's aware, and not on the topic of this grant application, but if you don't mind a little divergence here, the LNRP assistance that's already ongoing at the
Yeah,
show at Paddlers.
Yet this week, well, there's two pieces to it. Lakeshore Natural Resources Partnership, LNRP, had grant funding that they needed to spend. We've been working closely with them on Paddlepalooza and a few other things on the rivers. So they funded the $1,000 it cost to make a site plan for Paddlers Park. It's a small park, so it didn't really cost that much. We found a landscape architect that was willing to do it pretty inexpensively for us, but it's a nice, mostly a native planting guide of what we need to plant, what species and where, to give us a master plan for that. And then literally this week, we're going to have 9 trees delivered, funded by Lakeshore Natural Resources Partnership for Paddlers Park. They're going to get planted this week.
LNRP is doing a lot of good
Yeah.
things up and down the shoreline communities.
Then they are also in the process of submitting a surface water grant to DNR for Paddlers Park to fund the native plantings that are in that plan as well. So it's nice because they're pursuing money on our behalf as well.
I think we'll be reporting back shortly. We've talked with council about the roughly $500,000 in shoreline improvement and planning grants for our Lake Michigan shoreline from both the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Seaway cities. Coalition. And part of that funding, a few $1,000s, is for public education and soliciting community input on those plans through dialogue with LNRP. It looks like that organization may also be assisting the city on that piece as well. We'll be back in front of the council on that. So with that, but again, tonight is about authorizing the application to.
The total grant application would probably look like $30,000 in city funding with $30,000 in grant funding from the DNR, if, of course, we get the grant.
Thank you for that. Looking for a motion then. Thank you, Doug. Second by Shannon. Any council discussions? Seeing nothing, this will be a roll call vote. Amanda?
Connie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Husky,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Shannon Derby,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie. All in favor.
Thank you all for that. On to E, recommendation from Plan Commission meeting of October 14th, 2024. Zoning code amendment to allow front yard produce gardens under same parameters that have applied to 2023-2024 pilot program.
Yes, this is a matter that the council referred to Plan Commission at your October 7 council meeting. It appeared on the agenda for the Plan Commission's October 14 meeting, a week later. There was a motion offered to recommend incorporating terms for front yard produce gardens as they have existed for 2 years, excuse me, in the pilot program into the zoning ordinance to make such a permitted use of, to summarize, up to 100 square feet of either raised bed or container produce gardens to occur in the front yard. That motion did fail on a 3-3 vote, so I can't report that this is a recommendation for approval by the Plan Commission. It is not. It would be up to the council if you wish to nonetheless schedule a public hearing and proceed to consider an amendment to make those provisions permanent. I would note the enclosure in your packet is not on target. This is the previously adopted driveway ordinance amendment. So if the council wishes to proceed with the hearing, it would either be, as states in the agenda, the same parameters that have applied to the pilot program, or if you want to see those to review again, I'd suggest a tabling. So that does not appear to be in your packets.
There's a sixth, number 6 in
Is
the
there?
attic. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I too thought that at first until I scrolled down to the
What
next
page
page.
of the backup was?
It's part of that draft.
Okay.
On
It's the
opposite
second
side.
page.
Oh my, I beg your pardon. I totally blew that. This is EBS. Oh, it's probably the heading that threw me off. I apologize. Yes, what is shown in red is indeed a summary as those requirements exist. I'm sorry. That threw a few people off, I gather. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, focus on what you have in your packets. If you advance it to public hearing with the intent to have the same requirements that have been in the pilot program, that would be the operative language under parent 6.
So looking for a motion. Darla. Motion to make a public hearing, I'm assuming? Okay. And then second by Darla. I'm sorry, Shannon. Darla, Shannon. Any council discussion?
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
First of all, I read the attachment. I got lost too, because it looked like it was all driveway to me.
Yeah, it could have just
but-
focused on parent 6.
But I did research further and I found the Planning Commission's notes from their meeting about this discussion. And I see that they have permissible steps, and I reviewed the pictures of the discussion. They have produce gardens be planted, raised beds, 4-foot setback, 3 maximum total gardens, 100 square feet raised garden. But I guess I'm concerned that without more public input, I'm concerned about the definition of a container, and a container to me could toilet stool, bowl, seat or toilet. You know, and I'd like to hear from the public, and we schedule a public hearing, doesn't necessarily mean we're approving it. We're just listening to what the public thinks about front yard gardens. That's correct, right?
That's the intent of the public hearing, yes. Yep.
The other comment I'd like to make too is that I support people growing produce for food to feed their families. It's a great idea, a necessary thing with the cost of everything today. But I do want to remind everyone there is the ability to get a city garden spot, which is a remarkable facility. Granted, it means you have to drive to it, but it's free. And they supply dirt and water. It's a fenced-in area. It's a beautiful facility right on the edge of our town. And it would be much larger than the 100 square feet that we're limiting.
Be the community gardens at
Yes.
the new cemetery. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Darla.
At our last meeting, I went into in great depth as far as this, the benefits of having something like this. I'm only going to address a couple things. In my mind, the most important one is going to be those two bills that are going to be coming back up. And if they pass, you know, this is all going to be out of our hands. And it can turn into something that's when you're going to see the corn. All right. Another thing too is that this has worked out fine for 2 years. The way this is written and with the change, it would not require the staff time from Public Works Engineering. So we're going to save some money on that. But basically, it puts back into the hands of property owners their ability to use their property the way they see fit. Now, as far as the public gardening, I think it's great, but there's no openings. And I didn't realize it until recently, but some people have 2 or 3 lots. And I think that should be looked at. There's other people who want to get in. So I think that bears looking at. But right now, I mean, it's difficult. And another thing too is that if I were a young mother with 3 young kids and I wanted to do this, and I would go out to a public garden with my 3 kids, you know, this is also, it's for convenience sake. People say that, you know, the vegetable plants are ugly and that containers are going to look really bad. And, you know, there's so many different things, but I want to say that you replace that tomato plant with some sort of a flowering plant and it's not cared for, it's going to end up looking really bad too. So I think that everything that people are concerned with the vegetables, they should be concerned with for all types of plantings. And the other thing too is that when you look around town and you've got properties where it looks like a junkyard in front, and they have cars that are on there that shouldn't be on there, and they're violating ordinances. I think that looks a heck of a lot worse than a pea plant or a tomato plant. So that's my argument. My big thing though is those bills.
Are we voting on this or are we just setting a public hearing?
Public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just sending it to, this is just, yeah, setting it
Okay.
to public hearing. Yes. I think Mark mentioned it, but I think maybe we need to define what containers are, possibly. I think that's kind of a little misleading in there, what containers is.
Well, we could take that from when I first wrote up the pilot program proposal. It went into a lot of detail, so we could probably pull from that and put it into the ordinance. But as a group, we met so many times and we massaged it until everybody was pretty darn happy with it. The first year we did this, Plan Commission okayed it. Let's give it a shot. So it wasn't just EAB calling the shots. It was EAB, it was City Council, and it was Plan Commission. And so I think maybe we should look at that because there was tons of information in that.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, Bonnie?
What about all those rules you came up with the first time? Do those still apply?
Yeah, it's gonna be the same as what was in that proposal. And, so really nothing's changed as far
But in the
as,
ordinance, it's not very detailed.
that's what I was just saying, is that we've got more information in the proposal that we could put into here. Right now, what we have in there is, just the restrictions, height, area, those kinds of things. But I do think maybe a little bit more, detail would save a lot of problems, a lot of headaches.
And is there still a fee?
No, this
Not
is,
the same.
it's
Well,
no
there was
longer
in the
a
beginning.
project.
Confusing me. So it's not the same as what it was? Because we said it was the same and now we're saying it's not.
No, I'm saying that the rules are the same, all right?
So before you had to have a permit was part of the rules and now we don't have to have a
Right.
permit.
With this,
So they're not
we're
the
making
same.
this, we had for 2 years, it was a program that you had to sign up for, and you got a permit for it, which we didn't charge for. What this is saying is that, we've proven ourselves. Let's just go ahead and make the change to the ordinance so that people can garden in their front yard within these rules. All right? And you compare that to what might be happening down the road where there aren't going to be no restrictions and people will not be taking into consider their neighbors' feelings, or, how is it going to make the neighborhood look? So it gives us some control.
So is there more discussion about making this a public hearing? Because that's what we should be focused on right now.
I know, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make
Yep.
sure that, because to me, if you want to set it for a public hearing, I just wanted to reiterate
Yep.
why that would be appropriate. So that's why I brought those up.
Gotcha. Yes, Mr.
Could I maybe ask our city attorney to weigh in a bit? I know that, often the plan commission will make a recommendation. The city council will set a hearing on amending the zoning code. Oftentimes, those amendments are approved as advanced from the plan commission. Sometimes, appropriately taking into account input from the public, the council decides to modify the amendment. And there's kind of a line you can cross where it's modified enough that it's time to schedule yet another public hearing, because it ain't the amendment that effectively was in front of the council for hearing. And I don't know that there's a clear line there, but as I'm hearing this discussion, I'm thinking maybe it would be appropriate to refer this, I don't know if the plan commission has an appetite for it, honestly, but either to the EAB or a work session of this body to further refine and identify those requirements, if it is a permitted use, but permitted providing it meets certain criteria, before launching a public hearing on it. Sean, your feedback on that, and I know it's kind of a fine line. At what point is the ordinance different enough that you probably ought to have another hearing on it?
Yeah, so there really isn't a fine line on this issue that's defined. What the statute leaves this ambiguous. Municipalities take different tracks on this. I've worked with some that were conservative enough that they would do a new public hearing for any amendment. Any amendment would go to a plan commission and then public hearing city council for approval, and minimal amendments, if any, would be allowed. So in this case here, if we are leaning towards the thought that there's potential that this should go back and have additional hearings, then I think I would, in the sake of caution on this, I'd probably recommend that we do so.
If after public hearing, the council has changes, is that what you're saying? Yeah. The other thing, of course, would be to announce in other manners than a Class 2 legal notice, which not too many people read anyway, in all honesty, would be to announce that there's time at a meeting devoted to input on the issue, refine it based on that input, and then do the Class 2 notice formal hearing. I'm sorry if I'm making this more complicated than it needs to be, but I'm hearing some questions as to whether these conditions that are in sub 6 are really adequate. So having created that mess, I'll sit back and let the council proceed. But
As long as we have the attorney there, is there any proof that the state's bill is gonna be more restrictive, and are they gonna even allow grandfathering? Cause that's been brought up.
Can I,
I'm talking to the
can
attorney.
I make a comment?
Hang on,
I-
buddy.
I'm talking,
Hang on, bud.
yeah, I had a question for
Hey,
the
Sean.
attorney. He
No,
didn't
I
respond yet.
know, but he,
Did you hear what Adam had said?
No, I did not. I
It-
did not pick that up.
In regard, there's been talk about the state bill. Is there any regard, do you know of any insight on the state bill that shows that it will be more restrictive as it is proposed? And if they are gonna do grandfathering?
I am not incredibly familiar on the state bill. I know that it's been proposed, but I don't know the exact details of that. I can certainly get back to you on that.
can I make a comment? I had read it, and the one thing I remembered, I thought their objective was to allow people to plant gardens in their own property without paying a fee or permit. That's the only thing I remember. I can't really expand on more than what I said, but I'd have to read it again, but that's what I got out of it.
the text of the bill, and I think I'm not expecting our attorney to analyze it based on this discussion, but the text of the bill as it was originally introduced, at least on a quick look, a political subdivision, that's us, may not require a permit for or prohibit the cultivation of a vegetable garden on private property not owned by the political subdivision. So it appears to address both not require a permit and not have a prohibition. This section does not affect the power of municipality to do any of the following if the regulation does not specifically regulate vegetable gardens, enact a zoning ordinance, regulate the use of water or fertilizer, because you know some communities are into phosphorus limitations there, or control noxious weeds. You can do all those things. So I'm not sure how you still have the ability to enact a zoning ordinance, but if you cannot specifically, if you can't prohibit cultivation of a vegetable garden. By the way, vegetable garden, interestingly, is defined as anything where you grow vegetables, herbs, fruits, leafy greens, or other edible plants, flowers, or pollinator plants. So kind of a broad.
Reading this here, maybe I'll need to do a little more research into this. I'm not seeing where this would directly contradict what we're trying to do here, or it allows for zoning ordinances to occur, and presumably in this, and granted I haven't read any of the other language along with the bill, it only enumerates this power to grow a vegetable garden, but it doesn't specifically exempt from zoning ordinance or the other nuisance ordinance. And in fact, it seems to anticipate the application of that by specifically stating that it doesn't regulate or preempt a zoning ordinance or control of noxious weeds. Additionally, it does look like this bill has in fact failed to pass Senate Joint Resolution 3 times. So I guess I'm not entirely confident that this is something that we should be substantially concerned about.
It's going to be reintroduced, and from talking to Shay's office and Andre Jacques, because they were the co-authors on this, it's going to be tweaked. So I don't know what the final result is going to be, but it is being reintroduced.
Sure. Okay.
My understanding, the first.
I don't think that. I think the two kind of accomplish different goals. Then the ordinance in this particular bill, and that the bill just gives a right to this sort of urban farming, but it doesn't exempt it from zoning ordinances. Whereas this amendment as proposed would give us a specific enumeration of a right within the front yard.
Our current zoning ordinance doesn't prohibit or restrict produce gardens, vegetable gardens, most of us would call them, in backyards or in interior side yards. There are some setbacks pertinent to street side yards. And right now, as you well know, there's an outright prohibition because produce gardens aren't referenced as a permitted or conditional use in front yards. And if it ain't in there, it's presumed to be prohibited. So I don't know if the legislation, even if it passed, would go that far. But if it passed, you'd have a hard time saying, you cannot on your private property have a produce garden. So.
Yes, Mark.
This is really a little confusing. I thought originally we voted to have a pilot to test for a year to see what the impact of the community was on front yard gardens. We set stipulations of what a front yard garden should be. Now, we want to extend it from pilot to permanent. What's wrong with asking the community what they think of the extension pilot to permanent? And then we listen to the people, what they tell us, and come back and make our decision based on community. We're supposed to be representing people in the community. And some people might find any problem with it. Other people might, and I've seen a few comments that they don't agree with it. So let's ask the public, have a public hearing, and then listen to that and come back with an idea. What we step next? Maybe sending the planning commission again to tweak something. That would be a logical approach.
And that is the motion that we currently have. So, yep. So any other discussion? Okay, then let's do a roll call vote.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
Darla Leclerc,
Okay, the way it's written right now, council discretion on whether to set a public hearing. Aye.
Mark Bittner,
Aye.
Shannon Derby,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc, Doug Brandt,
Aye.
Tim Petrie,
Aye.
Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
all in favor.
Thank you all for that. On to F.
Mr. President, before we
Yes.
leave that, I want to bring up a point you brought up, Darla, that makes sense, is if we have a community garden, which is a real gift to the community, if there are restrictions by some people that may have too many plots in a community garden, can we investigate that a little further to see that there's not 6 people that have 27 lots? And that means that other people could get into it, but my understanding is it's full now. But I think part of the reason it's full because there's multiple lots of community garden space that's owned, represented by one citizen. And it prevents other citizens from getting in. So can we have a report on that so we can make that
We
available?
can. I know there's some manner of governance structure for the community garden. My very basic understanding is the typical, what typically has been allowed is to have up to, or to have 3 of the raised beds. I don't know their dimensions. So we can get that information back to the council. I don't know how deep into the management of a community garden it is on city property you want to go.
City soil, city water, and city fencing and protect the
I
environment.
think they pay a bill for that. We'll get a staff report back to
Okay.
you.
That might help solve some of the,
Or there's a whole lot
A
of.
lot of room
unused-
to grow.
There's a whole lot of unused acreage at
out of what?
the cemetery.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think it was funny. But
So we'll get a report
Yeah,
back
should've,
to you on
right. You're
the
right.
current status of the community garden. Yeah. Okay. So,
Okay.
very good. We will proceed to run that, to set that.
Okay, on to F. Request for rezoning of the property at 1509 19th Street from B1 Business to R3, 1 and 2 Family Residential.
Yes, this proposal was tabled a couple of times at Plan Commission. It would involve rezoning a property that was formerly a dental office at the address indicated, 1509 19th Street, directly west of the former Evans Department Store, now the Christian Resale Building. Plan Commission at its last meeting unanimously recommended denial of the request. We did have our zoning administrator contact the property owner indicating that if they wish to, they don't have to withdraw their application, but if in light of the Plan Commission recommendation, they wished to, they could because, and would have their fee refunded because most of that fee is to offset the legal ad for Class 2 notices for public hearing. The property owner has not indicated a desire to withdraw the application. So accordingly, I'd recommend the council proceed to set a public hearing for November 4, 6 p.m. on the rezoning application as submitted.
Looking for that motion then. Thank you, Bill. Second by Carla. Any council discussion? Yes, Adam.
It is not something we really do is change zoning in our downtown business district from business to residential. It's not something that we have promoted as a city, as a council, or as a downtown Main Street. We have those zoned as business, and they really probably should stay business for the health of our downtown, quite honestly.
How long has it been sitting empty? Do you
I would
remember?
just point out, council can feel free to talk about what you want, but again, this motion is to set a hearing. It's not on the merits of the application. Although I think Adam, being Plan Commission member, was probably speaking to the motivations of the Plan Commission. But we really don't have anything in front of the council that relates to the merits of the application per se.
Just the quick question about how long has it sat empty?
I'd be guessing, but it could be 3 to 5 years. It was Dr. DeStephan's office. It was also, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting names, Dr. Hansen, who then merged and created with Two Rivers Family Dental, moved over to Forest Ave. It now is owned by a different owner. Plan Commission struggled with this. There are adjacent residential uses to the west, but it is zone B1, and now I'm getting into the details of the application. But yeah.
Bonnie.
Why did the Plan Commission recommend denial? Is it because of what you said?
Correct.
Oh, all right.
Maintaining the integrity of the existing downtown.
Yes, Mark.
I didn't see, there was no attachment in my.
Oh,
packet.
because this is just about setting a hearing,
Well,
not
you know,
about debating the merits of the application. Sorry.
Given the fact that there's a shortage of housing in Two Rivers, I'd like to proceed a little further and understand. I understand that because it was that way, Adam, but you know what? Just because it was that way doesn't mean it has to be that way today. And flexible cities. So I'd like to investigate a little further and understand why it was just flat out denied. I don't like the idea just because that's the way it is.
I wouldn't characterize the Plan Commission's action that way, but
Well,
again,
I know,
that
but that was-
information can all be presented, and I think it's incumbent on the council to set a public hearing because the property owner has made application, the Plan Commission has met its statutory role, it's made a recommendation, and it would be fair game for council discussion and debate at that public hearing. Or hopefully the owner could be present to speak to their application as well.
I agree with that then.
Anything else? See nothing. This will be an all in favor. So please, all in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
No.
As in you do oppose it, or you're in favor of it?
I thought you said anybody opposed. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. I must be eating too many lifesavers. Yeah, yes, I am opposed. Sorry about that. Oh,
So you voted yes, right? All in favor, you
Yes.
said yes.
Yes,
Okay, and that's what you want.
but what was the motion? What was it? Read
To set a
it.
public hearing.
Oh, I see. Wow. I'm just going along with the Plan Commission. That's why I said no.
So you vote no, do not have a public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay. Just to make sure we're clear.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Don't
not in the
mix me
Plan
up.
Commission's purview to prohibit public hearings, but just so you know.
But for when I said yes, I'm in favor to set a public hearing
Right.
for this discussion. Yes, that's the original vote, right? Everybody?
That's what everyone thought, correct? Okay. Okay. On to number 12, for information only.
Yes, just I'm sorry, this got the wrong date in it. The Plan Commission will meet on the 24th, last week was the 17th, to continue review of the city budget in this room, public meeting. Work session next Monday, the 28th. Major topic that's been scheduled out there for a while is discussion of short-term rentals and options for regulation thereof by the city. Also, per council's action earlier tonight, we will have for your action, the proposed TID 12 development agreement for Violet Inn. And then we do have a regular council meeting on November 4th. There is a closed session listed on tonight's agenda. I'm just jumping ahead into that. We would request the council go into closed session for the reasons stated, which council president will read into the record. There may be action upon reconvening in open.
Okay. So with that, on to number 13, closed session. The city council reserves the right to enter into closed session per Wisconsin statutes 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Tonight, we will be discussing property acquisition matters, and as like Greg said, we may be coming out of closed session and voting on something. So, looking for a motion to go into closed session. Thank you, Bill. Second by Shannon. Council discussion. This will be a roll call vote. Amanda.
Darla Leclerc,
Aye.
Mark Bittner, Shannon Derby,
Aye.
Bill Leclerc,
Aye.
Doug Brandt, Tim Petrie, Bonnie Shimalunas,
Aye.
Scott Steckmeister,
Aye.
Adam Mahusky,
Aye.
all in favor.
Maybe that's why.